The letter in the lobby. The grandfather clock in the Grandview Hotel lobby chimed 7 times. Marcus Wellington folded his newspaper with practiced precision and glanced at his watch. Right on schedule. Everything in his life moved according to plan, timed to the minute, organized to perfection. The lobby stretched out before him like a cathedral of marble and gold. Crystal chandeliers caught the morning light, scattering it across polished floors that reflected everything like mirrors. Tall windows reached toward high ceilings, their arched tops framing a pale winter sky. Near the grand staircase, a pianist played something soft and unmemorable. Marcus had claimed this leather chair as his territory 2 years ago when Wellington Industries moved their headquarters to the top 3 floors of the building. Every morning before meetings began, he sat here with his coffee and his Wall Street Journal. This was his moment of control before the chaos started. He was 34 years old and had built an empire. People respected him. Some feared him. None truly knew him. And that was exactly how he preferred it. The sound of small footsteps interrupted his thoughts. Marcus glanced up, annoyed at the disruption. A little girl was walking toward him across the vast lobby. She moved slowly, deliberately, as if each step required careful thought. She was tiny, perhaps 4 years old. Her blonde hair was pulled up into a bun that had started to come loose, held together by a red bow that matched her dress. The dress was beautiful, red velvet with delicate white lace along the bottom, but it looked wrinkled and worn, as if she had been wearing it for days. What struck Marcus most were her eyes. They were blue and serious, holding an expression far too old for such a young face. In her hand, she carried an envelope. Marcus looked past her, searching for an adult, a parent, a guardian, anyone. But the lobby remained empty except for the pianist and the desk clerk, who was busy with paperwork across the room. The little girl stopped directly in front of him. "Excuse me," she said softly. Her voice was polite and careful. Marcus set down his coffee cup. "Yes? Can you read this letter?" She held out the envelope with both hands, as if presenting something sacred. "It's very important." Her hands were shaking slightly. Marcus stared at the envelope. It was pale pink, creased and worn at the corners. Written across the front in flowing cursive was one word, "Please." He should have called security. He should have found this child's parents. He should have returned to his newspaper and let someone else handle this situation. But something in her expression stopped him. Perhaps it was the way she stood so straight despite her trembling, or the desperate hope in her eyes, or simply the word written on that envelope. "Please." Marcus took the envelope from her small hands. "Thank you," she whispered. He opened it carefully. Inside was a single sheet of paper filled with the same elegant handwriting. Marcus began to read, and with each word, his carefully controlled world began to shift. "To whoever finds Emma," the letter started. "My name is Sarah Mitchell. If you are reading this, I am gone, and my daughter is alone." Marcus felt his throat tighten. He glanced at the little girl, Emma, who watched him with those impossibly serious eyes. The letter continued in a voice that was both strong and breaking. 3 months ago, the doctors told me I had weeks to live. The cancer had spread everywhere. I have no family left. Emma's father died before she was born. I have tried everything to find her a home. I have called agencies and filled out forms and begged strangers. Every door has closed. Marcus gripped the paper tighter. I am not asking for money or charity. I'm asking for something far more difficult. I'm asking someone to see my daughter the way I see her, as precious, as worthy, as deserving of love. I have taught Emma to be brave. I have taught her to find someone kind, someone who looks important, because important people have the power to change things. The words blurred slightly. Marcus blinked. If you are reading this, you are the person Emma chose. Please do not turn away. Please help my little girl. She loves stories and drawing. She is gentle and smart. She deserves a life filled with happiness. This is my final wish as her mother. Please give Emma the future I cannot. The letter was signed Sarah Mitchell with a date from 5 days ago. Marcus looked up slowly. Emma was crying now, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. But she did not move. She did not make a sound. She simply waited for his answer. "Where is your mother now?" Marcus asked, his voice softer than he had heard it in years. "She went to heaven," Emma said quietly. "The social worker lady said so. She said I have to go live in a group home tomorrow. But Mommy told me to try first. She said I should find someone nice and give them the letter. She said maybe someone would help." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. He had spent years building walls around himself. He had convinced himself that success meant staying focused, staying separate, staying in control. Emotions were weaknesses. Attachments were liabilities. He had a company to run, profits to maximize, competitors to defeat. But looking at this child, this impossibly brave little girl who had walked through a hotel lobby to hand a dying mother's letter to a stranger, he felt those walls crumble into dust. "What do you like to do, Emma?" he asked. She blinked, surprised. "I like to draw pictures. And I like when people read me stories. Mommy used to read to me every single night, even when she was really sick." Marcus nodded slowly. He folded the letter with great care and placed it in his jacket pocket, right over his heart. Then he stood up, abandoning his newspaper and his coffee and his carefully scheduled morning. "Emma," he said, "I think the restaurant here makes very good pancakes. Would you like some breakfast?" Her eyes widened with something like hope. "Really? With chocolate chips if you want?" A small smile appeared through her tears. As they walked toward the restaurant together, Marcus pulled out his phone. He cancelled every meeting on his calendar. Then he called his attorney. "David," he said, "I need information about emergency custody and adoption procedures immediately. This is the most important thing I have ever asked you to do." Over pancakes, Emma told him about her mother. About the bedtime stories, about the pictures they drew together, about how her mother smiled even when the pain was terrible, about how she sang lullabies even when her voice was barely a whisper. Marcus listened to every word, and with each story, he felt his old life falling away, making room for something entirely new, something that mattered more than any business deal ever could. 4 months later, the adoption papers were signed. Marcus Wellington, the CEO, who had claimed he had no time for personal relationships, now left his office at 5 o'clock every day. His pristine home office was covered with Emma's colorful drawings. His phone held more photos of a smiling little girl than stock reports. Every night he read her stories before bed, just as her mother had done. And sometimes late at night, Marcus would take out that worn pink envelope and read Sarah Mitchell's letter again. The letter that had shattered his belief that success was measured in money and power. Emma's final wish, carried in her mother's words, had indeed shattered the CEO's heart. But in shattering it, she had also opened it. And in that opening, Marcus Wellington discovered what it truly meant to be important, not as a CEO, not as a businessman, but as a father.